Yeah, they bottled it. So it's been about a week since the league ended, so maybe now with a clearer head we could talk about why Arsenal bottled it. At least that's what my therapist says I should do. Now let's get one thing straight. A title charge was wildly unrealistic at the start of the season. If you would have told me at the start of the year that Arsenal bottled the league, I would have assumed they didn't get top 4 again. So overall, I'm still content with the season. We were aiming for top 4 and we got second to a City team who just won the double, on the verge of a treble while battering Champions League royalty Real Madrid 4-0 on the way. However, that doesn't mean I don't have a gaping hole in my chest left by a team that gave me hope, even when one of the club's well-known memes is the quote, "It's the hope that kills you." You know, that actually might be my fault for getting hope. Yeah, no, that's on me. So how did Arsenal bottle it? How did Arsenal go from first place with 8 points clear, although City did have a game in hand, who finished 5 points behind a City team who had wrapped up the title with 2 games to spare? I mean, there's obviously a lot of things, as there always are, but the one specific date you could probably count on is March 16th, the second leg of the Sporting tie. I distinctly remember thinking it is over when I learned the severity of Saliba and Tomiyasu's injury. I mean, not only did we lose arguably our best player, we lost our backup, we went to extra time getting more tired, and then we eventually lose on penalties. It was quite literally the worst case scenario. Now, funny enough, the next 2 matches after that Sporting game were actually really well done. 4-1 wins against Crystal Palace and Leeds United. Everyone firing on all cylinders. Arsenal had just won 7 straight Premier League wins, the very first time under Arteta. However, the main question was still, how do Arsenal replace Saliba, especially when the backup was hurt as well? That meant next in line was most likely going to be Rob Holding, and although his hairline made a fantastic comeback, flashbacks of the Spurs game with Rob Holding from last season came into every Arsenal fan's mind, including mine as well. I personally thought it made sense to start him. In fact, I never really fully hated him. Just remember, before his ACL injury, he was a very solid player, not necessarily England call-up level, but a suitable backup. And he also helped Arsenal win 2 FA Cups, one of them in 2017 against a prime Diego Costa as a 21-year-old. Surely everything would be fine, right? Like everything, it's fine. It's fine. Liverpool away. For the last few years, this has been one of the most intimidating and hardest places to play in the entire world. An extreme pressing, high-intensity team matched by their manager, backed by a notoriously ruckus crowd. Normally, I'd be fine with a point, and even in this situation, that's not the worst-case scenario either. However, I thought if Arsenal really wanted to win the league and make a statement, they had to win this game. And the form that Liverpool were in at the time, that didn't seem too unrealistic. Now, even though Arsenal were flying to a 2-0 early start, I told myself not to get carried away. After all, it is Arsenal. We have known to bottle things in the past, and Liverpool at Anfield are incredibly unpredictable. Alexander-Arnold! I am really glad I did not let myself get carried away. Alright, sure, we blew a 2-0 lead. That is never good in any situation. It's not exactly the worst thing possible, and along with that, we had West Ham next, right? It's an easy bounce back game. And bounce back we did. Another early start with a 2-goal lead, and this time the feeling was different. West Ham were in a relegation battle, and we're in a European tournament. Arsenal were fully in control, and this... Okay, that's... That's not good. Thoughts of the previous year's collapse was creeping into my mind, and I'm sure every other Arsenal fan's mind as well, and I was not okay. The next game was Southampton, and on paper, this should have been an easy game. At home against the literal worst team in the league, this should have been an easy 3 or 4-0. But something about Southampton, apparently, is just really good against Arsenal, because we hadn't beaten them in their last 2 meetings. Arsenal were also not very good against lower league teams, winning 9 out of 14 against the bottom 7, with losses against Everton and Nottingham Forest and draws against West Ham and Southampton. Needless to say, I was scared, but so was Ramsdale, because he gave them a goal in the opening 30 seconds in classic bottling fashion. Holding's terrible positioning and set-piece defending put Arsenal in a dire position, and even though Saka and Odegaard gave Arsenal some hope with 2 late goals, it was too little too late. By the way, in this time frame, Southampton only picked up 1 point, one singular point in 9 games. That 1 point was against Arsenal. Everyone knew City was going to beat Arsenal, every single one of us, so it was no surprise when we strolled up and got our asses handed to us 4-1. Although Holding scored a banger, which is something that not even Real Madrid could do, so Holding to Real Madrid, 40 million, who says no? Honestly, there's not really much else to say about this part. The result that everyone knew and thought would happen, did. This was the end. So was it the Saliba injury that caused Arsenal to bottle the title? Partly, yes. I believe he was the most important player in the defense and arguably the squad, providing calmness to a young team and being a vital character in the build-up to Arsenal's attack. I mean, just watch Arsenal's second goal against Fulham. That left-footed crossfield pass? However, it wasn't just the Saliba injury. It was the Saliba injury plus Tomiyasu's injury. Injuries are indeed a part of the game, yes, but multiple injuries to the same position 10 minutes apart from each other, that's bad luck. So you add these injuries to the first and second choice center backs, to the choking the leads against Liverpool and West Ham, it was arguably over before even Southampton. Now I'd rather end this video on a positive note because that's what Arsenal were for the vast majority of the season. Positive. The end goal was achieved, we showed that we can compete, we move. Copia, man, not a trophy, and second place isn't anything. Bro, I suffered in the Europa League 4 years, I suffered in 8th place 4 years, multiple years, plural. I'm gonna go on a small rant here because I hate that top 6 elitist, egotistical, pretentious bullshit. Arsenal were not good with multiple players on inflated salaries and were rebuilding for years. Remember how this was a legit conversation? So if you think Arsenal finishing second after all of those years is not a successful, albeit disappointing finish to the year, then you're either a bandwagoner or you don't know how sports work. I'm gonna go ahead and end the rant there because I can feel a lot of people typing on their keyboards. Now next season, I do suspect Arsenal might drop off just a little bit to being 4th or 5th because they're not gonna be used to competing in 2 high-end competitions. In Europa League, you can rotate more. Hell, Rob Holding played most games. In the Champions League, you're not gonna have that luxury. So because of that, I do suspect Arsenal might need a year to adjust, but obviously this is all before summer dealing, summer transfers, and all that. Ideally, I'd want to see Arsenal really compete for the title in the 2024-25 season when they have more experience and a plethora of depth at their disposal. And also just a quick shout out to a couple of non-standout players like Jorginho and Reece Nelson. I never once slandered Jorginho, not once. He deserved the Ballon d'Or. It's ridiculous he got 3rd. It's insane. He, quite frankly, probably better than Messi and Pele with the defending and the mindfulness of like Beckenbauer. He could probably play in goal. He's probably... But for real though, he was a solid player. I'm sure he proved a lot of Arsenal fans wrong, including myself. As for Reece Nelson, that goal, I don't think I've celebrated a goal harder than that one. And not just because of the dramatics, but this dude has been through the ringer for years, stayed this season only for a super sub role, and provided magic almost every time he was on the pitch. There's talks of new contract, and I really hope he stays because I genuinely like him, but either way, if he leaves, if he goes, I hope he gets the playing time he deserves and he does well. So that's gonna be it. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like and subscribe down below. And if you want to see other football, soccer related things, be sure to let me know in the comments as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Peace.